I've told you all about my Mandarin class trip to China. In 2018, I went on my Mandarin classes trip to China with Mr. Antonetti. And I got this little guy as a souvenir. Here we go. This is like Keelan. He's the Chinese equivalent of a unicorn, I suppose. I don't know any like Taoist or like traditional Chinese folklore, so I can't tell you any stories about him. I think there's a moment where he appears in Journey to the West, with Sun Wukong and Tripitaka the monk. I think there's a point where they meet one of these, but I don't remember. We're using him as the guardian of the mild sauce. That's why he was sitting here. You just couldn't see him. But one place I thoroughly enjoyed is the Summer Palace, which is a frustratingly mind-bending feat of engineering and architecture. In Western culture, we talk a lot about, the Palace of Versailles, and I've never been particularly impressed by it. I understand its expansiveness. I understand the gilding, but I don't think it's interesting. I want all of you to go to China, to go to Beijing, and experience what it's like to be around 23 million people. The city of Chicago has roughly 2.8 million, 3 million people living in it, and it is desolate. It's barren. It's sparse. There's no one in here. It's an empty can you can shake around and hear things clinking. When you go to China and you're walking around Beijing in the daytime, it will feel empty. You'll be walking through these enormous, expansive plazas and these tunnel hallway-like configurations that funnel you from one plaza into a next one. And it'll feel really empty and desolate, and it'll feel slightly uncanny. But you've made the mistake at being there at the wrong time. It's 11 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday. Everyone's at work. There's no one outside. 8 o'clock at night rolls around. Oh my God. There's Chinese people everywhere. I'm talking nuts to butts. Shoulder to shoulder, these expansive arenas, these things that gave you an abandoned stadium-like feeling, are now packed with 8,000 people in here, and they're singing, and they're dancing, and they're having acrobatic performances, and there's people selling food off in the corner, and it's the most jarring thing you'll ever experience, because you'll go to Chase Plaza in downtown Chicago, and first off, it's tiny. It's 50 feet by 50 feet. It's not even, it's decorative. It's not even a plaza. You go out in Chicago at 9 o'clock at night, and it's pretty empty for the most part, honestly, but that is the exact opposite of how you would describe cities like Beijing and Shanghai, where, oh my God, when you're in Shanghai, against the sea, they're everywhere. They're on the rocks, they're in the trees, they're on the grass, they're on the railing, they're on the path, there's people everywhere. And it's so, I really need you personally to go to China to experience what it's like to live in a place that's truly been maximized to an efficient capacity. in America, we talk about like overpopulation a lot and like urban density, and it's not true. I promise you, once you experience the feeling of being shoulder to shoulder with 800 strangers just pathing their way past and through one another, you'll never again think that there are too many people in the city of Chicago. And then I got off the tour bus to the Summer Palace, and there was a homeless man sitting in front of the tour stop. For those of you unaware, begging is illegal in China. And so, by extension, homelessness and destitution are illegal in China. I don't know what the sign the guy in his lap read, but I do know he had no arms, and that when the authorities came to arrest him, they had to literally pick him up because he didn't have any arms. And then I started looking for other homeless people, like explicitly. Anytime Mr. Antonetti took us outdoors, I was looking for homeless people anywhere I could find them, like under viaducts, in overgrowth, like in buildings I thought looked abandoned. I was looking for homeless people because there's 23 million people in the city of Beijing. Where are the homeless people? Where are the rest of him? And then it occurred to me this year, in the past week, that there's gotta be a homeless encampment of 10,000 people somewhere in the mountains of Beijing. Because where else are they hiding? When you make open habitation illegal, they must conglomerate and then hide themselves. When it gets rough weather-wise in Chicago, the homeless people conglomerate. They form those little communities, under the viaducts, by the train tracks, like I say, in abandoned communities, just behind the other brush, behind that block that's abandoned. There's like a homeless encampment back there. And then you expand that to the entire city of Beijing, but there's so many people in Beijing that you wouldn't be able to find a non-inhabited spot. So they made their own. They left the city and set up an encampment somewhere in the mountains. There's an IKEA sitting in the middle of nowhere in Beijing that you drive past on the way to the Great Wall. And why would it not be just that easy to put a homeless encampment somewhere just on the other side of that mountain on the way to the Great Wall, and you'd have no idea?